consent forms that parents need to sign before any athletic season. So I think we're very well prepared to address all of that, and any changes that come from risk management or from another medical professional, we're very on top. We're on top of that all the time.
And then where is the concussion? I remember that this was asked, but just to have it in the record, where is the concussion information in policy now? Because it's being taken out of this one.
Oh boy. 43, 40.
So it's but it's in a different policy.
Policy number. Can you go to the end?
3423.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that
Did we
when
cross-reference it? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I knew it as that.
34,
But I just
23.
wanted in the public meeting to know that it's being taken out of this. It is not being taken out of our policy book as a whole, because it's a very serious issue, and I think we need to continue to monitor that. So,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
There it is.
Yeah.
Range. Thank you.
Next up on our agenda, the second policy for review. It's the first reading, or second policies, group of policies to review. First reading of board policies number 8112, special transportation for field trip and extracurricular activities, 8120, bus safety, and 8121, driver training and responsibility. Board members have any questions? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. So next category of agenda items, board reports and communications. So the first one, new business topics. I was wondering, I'm going to start on this one. If, Larry, I know there has been discussion amongst administration about gender neutral bathrooms. I know that the remodel at Winterville High School is including the incorporation of one. Is it appropriate to give an update now, or would we like to perhaps, I think perhaps getting an idea, because I know activities happening within the school district on this. Is it most appropriate to talk about it at a later meeting, or do you have a quick verbal update you could give?
I have just a quick verbal update. I can say that we're addressing the issue at all facilities, and particularly where we have identified need to be addressing the facility. I can't give any metrics as to how many general neutral bathrooms there are where. I think probably the best way to proceed would be for us to just prepare some kind of summary information of sort of what the current status is, and share that with the board, and then we can go from there.
I also am aware that this is being discussed. We have a date where we be able to say that all facilities have these. Do we have an anticipated when that will?
Well, any building that has a need, there is some accommodation that's being made.
Right,
So,
I understand that.
Certainly the design standard for any new buildings we construct, as well as any new buildings we renovate, a design standard will now be increased access and presence of gender neutral facilities. The specific question of converting all single stall or all staff bathrooms to gender neutral is probably a little bit more specific to each individual site, and that's what I'd like to get a little bit more information on before we.
I guess that's what I was asking. Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify that, because I had been contacted from members of the community and had told them that our process was for the board, when an issue like this came, to put that into, that we would get some information in the board briefing. And so just to be clear to the members of the community that that's our normal protocol. And then we would see that, and then upon review of that, then the board, if we wanted to take any sort of action to continue to work into then we would do that at our next meeting after seeing that information. And given the extended information, I'm not sure, sometimes that takes them more than 1 week. Those come out to us on Friday. So that may be, I don't know what the timeline on that is. Do you have an estimate?
I don't. I'll need to probably huddle with our facilities folks and Dr. Bigelow and put some heads together. But we're not starting from ground zero.
Right, and the board had been informed of something earlier on transgender, issues in a board briefing, so, and I'm very appreciative for Kenmore Junior High principal, and that was an item I wanted to bring up in the new business. Thank you.
And I just want to clarify, if you could give us the breakdown of not just gender-neutral bathrooms that someone would have to access through the nurse's office that they were saying, but maybe where those are located, like whether they're in the nurse's office or are they like on the campus somewhere? Because I think that was kind of part of the argument I was hearing is not wanting, accessibility, not wanting to have to go into a nurse's office to ask for a gender-neutral bathroom, but being able to access that on their way to a class or by the gym. That's what I heard.
And not to make the information request too large, but, this may not be appropriate, but if we could have just a single tick count of the number of students who have requested accommodation per school. I don't know if that's appropriate to ask, but just from getting some sense of that and or a process to reach out. So the parent-family council and or groups that are at the schools, whether we work through PTA or through adult champions at each school. I remember being a kid, they had the helping hand that was in the window of the house, that you'd be safe if you were walking down a neighborhood. But that notion of having someone voluntarily being available to be a safe adult for our students is, and I don't know how that works, it's just thinking off the top of my head. But I don't know if we could get that kind of a census count and if that would be useful or not, but thinking aloud. And I can see where it might be
I can do some checking. I'm not certain that we're keeping detailed records on those. Most of those requests are being processed and handled perhaps more informally on an individualized basis, but I'll see what we can have.
Thank you very much.
On new business.
So leading into that, this brings up a larger topic for me that I brought to the board before, and I'm going to ask again that we might be able to have this as a discussion item, and this is about having different. I went to a training at WASDA, as I mentioned, that's about bringing different community groups to the table and to be able to discuss the issues that they're having at the ground level with the board. And, we often as a board it gets filtered before it gets to us. And, there's some real benefits to being able to just have those kind of community discussions. And I know we're doing conversations with the board, which I love, but I know Seattle School District and Tukwila and Federal Way and Issaquah, and I mean the list goes on, and I feel that, we could start down that avenue and maybe talk as a board about what, meeting with PTA, having a PTA roundtable with just the board. And, because we have PTA leaders that are at the schools that may hear some of these issues that we're not hearing, and having the board be accessible in that way, because, I want to hear from community members at the ground level what their issues are. And I know we have great people that also disseminate that information for us, and that's amazing. But I think government officials need to also be accessible. And I know that's my frustration with government, is they're often not accessible. So if we could have that as a discussion item, and maybe, I'm willing to look into Seattle. I don't know if, Leanne, I know you're communications, if you wanted to look at, and you don't have to do this, but if you wanted to look at the way some other schools or school districts are doing it, to have you part of the conversation, since you're a communications person, I know you have.
So the original agenda for the board retreat today was going to be 4 hours of community engagement discussions. So I absolutely agree. We have actually a standing list back from I think last spring and summer of items, open items that I'm still tracking, that we, in terms of Do we do coffee hours? Do we look at how conversations with the board is going, you know, talking about our idea for doing a survey, you know, to talk about budgets, parameters. These are all under the community engagement umbrella, and unfortunately, our time has been pretty well occupied with other very important things. So it is still, I still have the agenda literally right here.
What I'm asking is that it's a discussion item, and even if we just briefly kind of discuss this piece and we don't move forward with it, that we just can have the discussion. I don't know that it needs to be just this one piece of it, so.
And I'm just worried that it is part of the bigger plan, and that's why when Leanna and I sat down to talk about, you know, a numerous amount of questions about this, I'm not saying that it isn't something to be discussed, but I think to be effective, and it doesn't mean we can't discuss it for the end of the school year, but just looking at the agenda, we have, under our new business requests, we have over a dozen items, and, you know, in terms of prioritization, it would just, as a person setting agendas, just trying to understand, we're getting at the point where our time is getting maxed out, unfortunately.
So this was an agenda for today that got bumped, so maybe we can look at where we will reschedule.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in the scope of, you know, continued discussions about superintendent search and, you know, because we're not doing a superintendent evaluation, that does free up some time. We do, you know, we do have a couple of important things that may still require additional discussion and study sessions by the board this spring in terms of curriculum in middle school. So I'm
not asking for it as a study session, I'm just thinking maybe there's all these components, but this component, so that we're being able to connect with the community, just hearing what your guys' ideas are on just this topic, and then bringing that into the bigger conversation, being able to just talk about it.
So just brainstorming, is that what you mean?
Yeah, just sitting up
Okay.
here and hearing your guys' thoughts about what you think about connecting with the community in that way, and what other, and I realize it's a part of a bigger picture, but it's, doesn't seem that.
I would prefer it be in context, and I also, for brainstorming, this is one of the least effective ways to do that. I prefer in the study session sitting around the table where we can make eye contact, and so I would prefer that this is a conversation that was supposed to happen today, it gets rescheduled, and it be part of a larger conversation where we can sit together and talk rather than have this ping pong, or I feel like I'm in a tennis match some nights.
I'm just looking, you know, in spring break, April was kind of a short month, but in May, we don't have, right now, superintendent evaluation is still on the board retreat, but there may be other, you know, so as we set the agenda for May, there might be some windows that we can incorporate into the board retreat or a study session.
Can I suggest, I'm just looking at the calendar, on April 19th, we have a 7 p.m. conversations with the board. And so if we were to meet, you know, as a 5 o'clock and have a conversation about some of these things before that and segue into that, I don't know if that's feasible or not, because it's on a Tuesday. And we don't have a meeting currently scheduled on April 12th due to the spring break. So
I feel like we're pushing the community discussion off, and I get it.
Oh, yeah,
We have lots of
superintendent search,
I know,
yeah.
we have a lot of important things, I understand that, but I think this is at our top with our diversity initiatives and.
So that must be a Tuesday, right, the 19th?
Yeah, and
So that's
I'm sorry, it says TBD
right.
for the location, is that the?
That's our Latino family
Latino, that's what I was wondering.
engagement.
Woodmore?
Is that one more?
Yes, Burt Woodmore.
Not that date, then perhaps May. I'll make it up, and then we'll see if we can incorporate it. I agree it's important, which is why we were looking to talk about it today, absolutely. But, you know, as, you know, start time comes forward and, you know, in terms of of curriculum with middle school, there's some things that we have due dates on. So if I can make a note, and if we can incorporate it I think it needs 2 hours. If we can incorporate it, I'd love to do it. Does that sound reasonable?
And then maybe, I'm willing to look at that date. I don't know if anyone else is willing to look at that
I'm
date.
not sure I can do it.
Date works for me.
Works for David.
I actually am doing some of our PTA in accepting the Arrowhead into the North Shore Junior High, encouraging people to get involved work that. So I'm already pushing it, trying to get to the conversations from the board as it is, so.
But I'll put it on my new business requests, because it's on my list of I do know that. Any other new business topics?
I have one, which should make Director Hayes happy. That's one. It's coming down. Threads and treads. I'm not exactly clear kind of what's happening in the transition, and so I would just like to get for the board, a board briefing on a summary of what's happened and what's happening with Threads and Treads. I think it's a great program from what I understand, and my kids volunteered there. And I'm just not exactly sure the past and the future. So if we get a summary of that, that'd be great.
I have one more.
You have one more?
It's back on the communication piece, but a different piece of that, so maybe this could get brought up at the same time. It's about our website being so difficult. I'm hearing that it's difficult to navigate. I find it difficult to navigate. And maybe it's just the way that we're arranging some of the information. And making our communication readily accessible. I hear that people have a hard time finding different things that they're looking for, and so I'm not quite sure.
So maybe we could put that in the communications discussion.
Yeah, it's definitely a communication piece, because if people can't find things or it's not readily accessible, or they don't know how to find it, I find it difficult to navigate too, I must say. So, I think we just had it redone, right, last year? Is that true, Larry? Did we have it redone?
About 2 years ago.
Okay, but weren't we planning on getting it? I feel like since I've been on the board, we had.
Probably has been since you've been on the board that it was redone.
When I first got here.
We switched over to school wires. So I would say if you have those conversations, if specific examples can be helpful so we can know where they're having a difficult time navigating to. And then Leanna also has, does focus group work with people, and one of the things that I think they have looked at in the past or could look at in the future is kind of the ease of navigating the website to see if we can improve some functionality around it. It's everybody wants everything loaded on the front page is the problem, that's therein lies the dilemma of the front page.
And is it, I know with mobile phones, it wasn't as
much different
user-friendly.
interface, yeah.
Right, is that, did I hear you say before that's changing, or we're looking to
I
improve
don't.
that?
That's pretty hard coded.
I access from my phone a lot.
So, one of our tasks that we do have, in addition to many other things, is to update our website. So Larry is correct that we did launch through School Wires in January of 2014. So the great thing about the content management system is that we have the responsive design. And we did go through using focus groups to take a look and really align the navigation so that it's consistent from the district through the schools. Now we've learned from that and we need to take the time to update that. So it is one of our action items to do. Yeah.
So maybe wait till that's done before we have the
Yeah, but
conversation about it.
and too, if you have input or folks do, if they could let me know as well, here's where we're struggling to find information that helps inform us. And it also will help us in creating focus groups and making sure we're engaging the right people to make sure it's as user-friendly as possible. Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks.
So any business topics? Okay, so next item on the agenda is the superintendent search update, which we did cover the meat of during the action item. There was one thought I had, over when I was having dinner, was I think it's a good idea, and I would like to add this to the list of questions to add the search firms to do a salary survey to understand where we're going to market, just in terms of where the market is for superintendents in our area and with comparable sized districts. I don't remember seeing that in the proposals. So I don't know if that's something they don't provide, and if they don't provide it, I personally would like to know about that. So that's my item. I was going to add that to our request list. Does anyone have anything else under superintendent search? All right. So we have another standing item. Our next item on the agenda is end of year priorities. So this is what was called the biddy list. So this is number 19 on the agenda. So this is the list that Larry enunciated about his priorities in terms of the to-do list before June 30th. So this is just a verbal check-in. If there's any questions, any updates from Larry that you'd like to give, anything for our attention?
I would just ask, I suppose, that these are the ones that are sitting on the whiteboard in my conference room, that when we meet as a cabinet, we are looking at every time to assess our progress on these. Obviously, it's not all inclusive of everything that's happening in the district. There's other routine work that's going on, but these are kind of the prominent ones. So if these are not the right ones from the perspective of the board, or if these are not complete in any way, certainly welcome your input or feedback on that.
So what you plan to wrap up, I guess you're not going to wrap up the NSCA negotiation. Do you want to put them up there?
I wouldn't, I would.
So this is what, we could check 2016. I guess we can't check that off. We just did the board count.
Just the board.
This is what you're planning to kind of put closure on.
This is what I would hope we would bring closure to by the end of June, yes. Maybe some of them are a bit optimistic, but aim high.
And then when you leave, the district's in really good shape. Or it already is in good shape, but in better shape.
Can you comment briefly on number 10?
So we are in the process of reorganizing our instructional services department. So we've had some change of staff. Actually, the 3 of the key directors in that area are all going to be leaving at the end of the year. One returning to a principal position in a different district for personal family reasons, one retiring, or 2 sort of retiring / separating from service for other reasons. So it's an opportunity for us to configure ourselves a little bit differently. So kind of 2 objectives we're trying to look at is, one, we've been somewhat isolated into elementary and secondary. So we're looking at how we can create a K-12 vertical alignment more effectively, and then also how we can bolster our assessment capabilities, because right now assessment has sort of fallen to the curriculum and instruction directors at their respective levels, but it seems to be a big enough area that it warrants its own director. So we're reworking all of that actively. So right now we have a director of intervention services, elementary and secondary. At least initially our thoughts are still interventions, a K-12 curriculum, and a K-12 assessment, and then reworking the layers below them as well.
And is that similar to some of the other districts in the area?
We would be unique in our sort of segregated elementary secondary model, so it would be much more standard to have a K-12 focus. It would be much more standard to have a dedicated director of assessment.
Okay, I'd seen that on some other.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other thoughts or questions of, I think it's kind of handy to have this again with us kind of as a scheduling tool through this busy spring. We can keep it separate, we can include it under kind of the new business list of documents that we can refer to as things come up, kind of whatever the board prefers.
This isn't really, is this a list in order of priorities? Because, for example, with the equity diversity, we just heard that today and we'll be getting the executive summary.
No, these aren't,
Okay.
these aren't stratified by relative
Okay, that's good.
importance.
But that work's not going to be wrapped up. You're just saying the executive summary will be out to us.
Yes, I would hope all the research work that we've done this year, all the executive summary and the briefs, as well as a plan certainly for 16, 17, and potentially a multi-year plan, at least a conceptual plan of how we're going to march that work forward.
All right, so that sounds great. No other questions? All right, we'll keep just project managing. You guys are indulging me, thank you. So next on the agenda are member reports. So Director Hayes, do you have any? I'm sure,
Just a couple,
just
please.
a couple.
Continued attending the boundary open houses, attended the one at Bothell and Skyview. Bothell's attendance matched Inglemore's. It was a very rainy night that night. Skyview actually had double what we've been having at 78. Where's my correct? Is that right? Yeah, something like that. Really good questions, lots of waiver questions at Skyview, interest in later start time, music, get some people shopping the district, just checking out the district, see if they wanted to move here, if it was Skyview open house.
Really?
Yeah. I'm talking to this kid, I'm like, so what school do you go to? And he names the school. It's like, wait, that's not one of ours. Why are you here? Well, we're trying to decide if we want to move here. Yeah. Dr. McDowell was there, did a great job talking both to parents and kids about North Creek. So very, very well done as always. So thanks to all the people that put tons of hours into those because they're going well. And then, because you can never talk too much about music, attended the symphonic band contest for the district. So all 6 junior highs participating. Director Cass, Director Kogan's, children performing, and I would just like to do a shout out to our 2 new junior high band directors at Canyon Park and Skyview. They're doing amazing work, especially Skyview one has only been there about 6 months, and really the bands were sounding great. And then while the state legislature still has not gotten rid of my EOC biology, they did get vision screening passed, so that will be coming on board, so that was exciting. Got something done. That's it.
All right, Director, sorry.
Yes, so the school visit at Skyview Junior High, I wanted to make a brief comment about that. They have the flags up in their cafeteria, kind of like Inglemore has, for those who've been there. And then we saw the video, and it's, you feel, and I was able to stand in the hallway during one of the passing periods. And I feel like my institution where I teach at Highland College, which is the most diverse in the state, felt a little bit like I was in the United Nations. There was just a lot of visual diversity in that school, and it was vibrant, and it was exciting, and it was really nice to be there, and the 2 principals there, and almost over 1,000 adolescents in one area, and it's amazing what they're doing in making that a great learning environment. So that was really useful. On March 16th, I attended the Kenmore State of the City, and City Manager Rob Carlindsey gave another riveting presentation, and the relationship and Superintendent Francois was there along with some other people from the district, and it's great. I think our ability to interact with the cities and to maybe have joint meetings and continue that is a good thing to do. And then a personal item that I'm not sure if I noticed all of you on March 15th, I was notified by my dean's office that I have been chair-elect of the accounting department for Central Washington University. So it still needs to be approved through the provost president and board. What it will mean for me as a school board director is that I'll be doing a bit less teaching at night. So I'll actually be more available for evening school board activities and more interactions with the employer community and with community colleges as they transfer in. So it will assist, if anything, my ability to be a good board member, but it certainly will be time consuming and kind of a neat step in my own career.
Congratulations. Dr.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna formally, go ahead.
I've been meeting a lot with community members, and I would say many hours a week, so it's been good work. It's good just to get on the ground and talk to people, you know, and at the higher level and also, you know, one-on-one or in small groups, so I'm very much appreciating that.
So on Wednesday, March 9th, I attended Canning Park's Junior High Midwinter Symphonic Band concert at the NPAC. That was delightful. They did a great job, so that was great. On Saturday, the 12th, I attended the Math Olympiad. I wanted to thank North Shore Schools Foundation and Carmen for sponsoring that. It was an amazing event. We had almost 400 fifth and sixth graders performing math. Also wanted to thank the staff and the parents that were doing the tutoring and the grading of the test scores. I actually sat down and took a few of the tests because we were tasked to grade them, and it was really a lot of fun. Kids were really jazzed. It wasn't graded, thank goodness, but it was a really nice event to see those kids working so well and developing such important skills. Also attended the Skyview visit. Was very impressed with the school and the staff and the student body there, so I thank Skyview for that. And then also on last Saturday, I got asked out to Woodinville High School's Tolo, so I was really...
Are you chaperoning? Or did you
So yeah, my wife and I went to the dance at Woodinville, and we just had a great time, and just such a great community of kids, and so well behaved, and it was just really impressive. We had a lot of fun at the Hawaiian Beach theme, so it was great. Thank you.
This is your time to bring up the North Shore Schools Foundation, if
So-
any of us would like to.
I apologize about that.
I
I was on the wrong page.
No, but remind us, because I
Yeah,
was like
so-
halfway listening.
Yeah. So anybody that is available for time after the luncheon, if you'd be willing to make a couple phone calls and thank donors that are donating to the North Shore Schools Foundation, we just wanted to extend the opportunity for board members to personally thank the community for volunteering their dollars to help our students.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
I'd like
The
to
date, I know it's on my calendar.
It's April
6th. April 6th. I don't
Right.
have to teach something else there.
Right, and then just a couple things from my end. You know, my takeaway from the Skyview visit, I actually really enjoyed, you know, we got a little homework from Dawn. We sat in our groups and we went through, you know, kind of looking at ways that they were studying how to get down to the student-by-student level to address issues and the best way to help them. And I really enjoyed getting my hands dirty like that. It was wonderful. And besides that, you know, it's always wonderful to see a school in action and see classes in action. But it was a great, like I said, hands-on activity. It was wonderful. And then also I did have an opportunity to attend the open house at Bapa High School, which was wonderful. Saw Sandy there. Did get it. I got to my music activity for the last 2 weeks. I got to attend the Woodinville Pathways Jazz Concert with Leota Timbercrest and Woodinville High School's jazz band. And my favorite takeaway from that is the instructors have a tradition where they play together, and they play 2 quick songs together to kind of school the youngins, as they put it. And the kids love it. It was very fun. And then I was at the Regional and National History Day on Saturday, which was a great activity for awesome junior high age kids. I won't call them middle schoolers yet. So a little administrative notes. First of all, we've received an invitation. If you guys have seen National Day of Prayer Breakfast, May 5th, which is 6 to 7 a.m. at City on a Hill Church. I'm not quite sure where that is.
It's in Kenmore
It's
somewhere.
in
I
Kenmore? Okay, so just, excuse me?
It's on 80th.
It's on 80th, okay, thank you. So that was an invitation extended to us, so just to let you guys know, bring that to your attention. And then the date, hopefully you saw this in the board briefing, that the National Scholarship Breakfast has been set for May 19th at 7:30, and so that is on our year-end activities at TBD for board member participation. So it's 7:30 a.m. at the North Shore Senior Center over in Bothell. If board members can attend, 7:30 for my neck of the woods is hard, but you can make it, Sandy?
I'll be there.
If anyone else is able to go, perhaps can you go?
Oh, we got moved. We got changed.
And then, just really quick, Kimberly, if you can look at the schedule, they are going to quit soon, so if you're able to attend, we want to get your name on the program for graduations. Oh, no, that's different, but we can look for, you mean for coordination meetings? We can look for that. Good idea, we're due. Okay, so that's it. I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay, well, and I